You know that moment when you're sitting in a meeting or at dinner with friends or just reading a book on your couch, and suddenly, out of nowhere, it's like someone turned on a furnace inside your body. Your face flushes, your heart starts racing, sweat beads on your upper lip, your neck, your chest, and everyone around you is just carrying on normally, maybe even reaching for a sweater because they're cold, while you're frantically fanning yourself with whatever's nearby, a menu, a magazine, your hand. If you've experienced this, you already know what I'm talking about. Hot flashes. And if you haven't experienced them yet, but you're watching this because you're worried you might, let me just say I understand that anxiety too, because the not knowing, wondering if it'll happen to you, how bad it might be, how long it could last, that's its own kind of stress. I'm a doctor, and I've spent years helping women navigate menopause, but I also want you to know I've sat across from countless women who've described what it's really like, not the textbook version, the lived experience. The woman who keeps a cold washcloth in her purse, the one who stopped going to her book club because she couldn't bear the embarrassment of another hot flash in front of everyone, the grandmother who worries her symptoms mean something seriously wrong. Today, we're going to talk about hot flashes the way you'd talk about them with a good friend over tea. Not a lecture, just real talk. What they are, why they happen, and most importantly, what actually helps. Not the things that might help or that someone's cousin's friend swears by. The things that have real evidence behind them, that real women find actually work in real life. So get comfortable, maybe grab something to drink, and let's have this conversation. Here's the thing nobody really explains properly. Hot flashes aren't just about feeling warm. I mean, yes, that's the obvious part, but what's actually happening in your body is fascinating, and understanding it can make the whole experience feel less scary. Your brain has this tiny area called the hypothalamus. Think of it as your body's thermostat. For your entire adult life, it's been set to a very narrow range, keeping your body temperature steady whether you're in a snowstorm or a heat wave. But when your estrogen levels start dropping, whether gradually in perimenopause or suddenly if you've had surgery, this thermostat gets confused. It becomes hypersensitive. So things that wouldn't normally trigger a temperature response, a sip of hot tea, a moment of stress, walking into a slightly warm room, suddenly make your hypothalamus panic and think, emergency, we're overheating, cool down now. And your body responds the only way it knows how. It dilates your blood vessels to release heat, which is why your skin flushes and feels hot. It triggers sweating to cool you down. Your heart rate increases to pump blood to your skin's surface. Here's what I want you to know. You're not broken. Your body is actually doing exactly what it's designed to do to protect you from what it perceives as overheating. It's just that the alarm system is too sensitive now. And this matters because understanding this helps us figure out what might actually help. We're not trying to cure anything. We're trying to recalibrate that thermostat and reduce its hypersensitivity. Now, let's talk about what hot flashes actually feel like, because they're different for everyone. Some women describe it as a wave of heat that starts in their chest and rises up to their face and head. Others feel it start in their neck or upper back. Some say it lasts 30 seconds. Others say it can go on for 5, even 10 minutes. Some women just feel warm and maybe a little flushed. Others are drenched in sweat, and I mean truly soaked, needing to change clothes. Some feel their heart pounding so hard they worry something's wrong with their heart. Some feel dizzy or nauseous. Some get this strange feeling right before it happens, like an aura, maybe anxiety or a weird sensation they can't quite describe. And night sweats? Those are just hot flashes that happen while you're sleeping, but they're particularly cruel because they wake you up, sometimes multiple times a night, leaving you exhausted, lying in damp sheets, maybe needing to change your pajamas or even your bedding. I've had women say they feel embarrassed, like their body is betraying them in public. I've had women say they avoid social situations because they're worried about having a hot flash in front of others. Some women have told me their partners don't understand, think they're exaggerating, or get frustrated when they're constantly adjusting the thermostat at home. The good news, and there is good news, is that we have real solutions. Not everything works for everyone, and that's okay, but there are enough options now that we can almost always find something that helps. You don't have to just suffer through this. Okay, let's start with the practical stuff. The things you can try today that don't require a prescription or a doctor's appointment. And I'm going to be really honest with you. Some of the advice you've probably heard is, well, it's not wrong, but it's not nearly as helpful as people make it sound. Avoid triggers, they say. Dress in layers. Stay cool. Well, yes, but let's talk about what that actually means in real life. The temperature and environment. You probably already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it matters. Your environment makes a huge difference. If you're having hot flashes, keeping your bedroom cool at night isn't just helpful, it's essential. I'm talking 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. I know that sounds cold, your partner might complain, but here's the thing. They can add a blanket. You can't escape your own body heat. A good fan, the kind that moves air, not just one of those tiny desk fans, can be life-changing. Some women keep a small, quiet fan on their nightstand. Others have ceiling fans running all night. There's no shame in any of it. And moisture-wicking sheets and sleepwear? They're not a gimmick. The fabric actually pulls moisture away from your skin so you're not lying in dampness. Are they expensive? Sometimes, yes, but if they help you sleep through the night, worth every penny. During the day, layering is your friend, but not in the way people usually mean. You don't need to wear 3 cardigans you can peel off. What you need is a base layer that breathes, natural fibers like cotton, linen, bamboo, and then maybe 1 layer on top that you can remove if needed. And you know what? If you need to carry a small personal fan in your purse, do it. If you need to keep a cold washcloth in a plastic bag in your bag, do it. This is about your comfort, not what anyone else thinks. Now let's talk about food and drink, and I'm going to give it to you straight. Spicy food is a pretty reliable trigger for a lot of women. That Thai curry you love, it might not love you back right now. Does that mean you can never have it again? No, but maybe you have it at home on a cool evening when you're not going anywhere afterward. Caffeine is tricky. Some women find that their morning coffee triggers hot flashes. Others don't notice any difference. You'll have to experiment. If you're having terrible hot flashes and you drink 3 cups of coffee a day, it might be worth trying to cut back for a week and see what happens. If it doesn't help, well, at least you know. And honestly, if coffee is one of your few joys right now and cutting it doesn't help, then by all means have your coffee. Alcohol is where I see the biggest impact, particularly red wine. And I know, this is unwelcome news, but alcohol dilates your blood vessels, which is exactly what's already happening during a hot flash, so it intensifies them. Does this mean you can never have a glass of wine again? Of course not, but you might find that having it earlier in the evening with food in a cool room makes a difference. Or you might decide it's not worth it right now. Both choices are valid. Sugar and refined carbohydrates can trigger hot flashes in some women, probably because they cause blood sugar spikes and crashes, which can affect your already sensitive temperature regulation. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but if you're eating a lot of processed foods and refined sugars, it might be worth experimenting with cutting back. Here's where it gets complicated, because telling someone who's stressed to just relax is about as helpful as telling someone who's depressed to just cheer up. But stress does trigger hot flashes. When you're anxious or stressed, your cortisol goes up, your heart rate increases, your body temperature can rise slightly, all things that can set off your hypersensitive thermostat. So what actually helps? Deep breathing. And I don't mean some complicated medication practice you need to study for years. I mean simple, slow breathing. When you feel a hot flash starting or when you're stressed, try this. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, breathe out slowly through your mouth for 6 counts. Repeat that 3 or 4 times. Why does this help? It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm down system. It slows your heart rate. It can actually interrupt the hot flash cascade before it fully develops. Some women find that gentle yoga helps, not the hot power yoga in a heated room, good grief, no, but gentle stretching, breathing, mindful movement, even just 10 minutes before bed. Walking. I can't overstate how helpful regular walking can be. Not power walking in the heat of the day, but a gentle morning walk or an evening stroll when it's cooler. It helps with stress, sleep, weight management, bone health, all things that matter during menopause. And here's something else. Community and connection matter. Talking to other women going through this, whether in person or online, can reduce the emotional burden. You realize you're not alone, you pick up practical tips, you laugh about the absurdity of it all sometimes. Laughter is surprisingly therapeutic. All right, let's wade into the supplement conversation. Because if you've Googled natural remedies for hot flashes, you've probably seen dozens of products promising relief. And look, I understand the appeal. Something natural, something you could try without a prescription, something that feels gentler. I get it. But here's what I want you to know. Natural doesn't automatically mean effective or safe, and the supplement industry is largely unregulated, which means the quality and dosing can vary wildly between brands. That said, there are a few supplements that have at least some evidence behind them. Let me walk you through them. Black cohosh. This is probably the most studied herbal supplement for hot flashes. It's a plant that's been used traditionally for women's health issues. Does it work? Some studies show a modest benefit, maybe reducing hot flash frequency or severity by about 20 to 25% compared to placebo. Other studies show no benefit at all. So it's not a miracle cure, but it might help some women. If you want to try it, look for a standardized extract, typically 20 to 40 milligrams twice a day. Give it at least 4 to 8 weeks to see if it helps, and know that it can occasionally cause stomach upset or headaches. Vitamin E. There's some modest evidence that vitamin E might help with hot flashes. Again, we're talking about maybe reducing them by 20% or so compared to placebo. The dose that's been studied is 400 to 800 IU daily. But don't go overboard. High doses of vitamin E can have side effects and might interact with blood thinners. Soy and phytoestrogens. Soy contains compounds called isoflavones that can act like very weak estrogens in the body. The theory is they might help fill in some of the gap left by declining estrogen. The research is mixed. Some studies show benefit, particularly in Asian populations who've been consuming soy their whole lives. Others show no benefit at all. If you want to try it, food sources are probably better than supplements. Tofu, tempeh, edamame, soy milk. Aim for about 50 grams of soy protein daily if you're trying this approach. But if you have a history of estrogen-sensitive cancers, talk to your doctor first. Flaxseed. Ground flaxseed, not the oil, the actual ground seeds, contain lignans, which are another type of phytoestrogen. Some small studies suggest it might help modestly with hot flashes. You can add a tablespoon or 2 of ground flaxseed to smoothies, yogurt, or oatmeal. It's also good for digestion and heart health, so even if it doesn't dramatically help your hot flashes, it's not a bad addition to your diet. What about all the other supplements? Evening primrose oil, dong quai, red clover, maca, ginseng, the list goes on and on. Here's the truth. Most of these have very limited evidence. Some small studies here and there, but nothing consistent or robust. That doesn't mean they definitely don't work. It means we don't have good proof that they do. And again, supplements can have side effects, can interact with medications, and the quality varies wildly. If you want to try something, I'd suggest starting with the ones that have the most evidence, black cohosh or vitamin E, and giving them a fair trial of at least 2 months. If they don't help, they probably won't. Don't keep taking something that's not working just because it's natural. And please talk to your doctor or pharmacist before adding supplements, especially if you're on other medications. Now, here's where things get more effective. Let's talk about the treatments that have the strongest evidence behind them. And I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, hormone therapy. Hormone replacement therapy, HRT. I know this is controversial. I know some of you have been told it's dangerous, that it causes cancer, that you should avoid it at all costs. So let me give you the truth as clearly as I can. Hormone therapy, giving your body back some of the estrogen it's lost, is the single most effective treatment for hot flashes. Nothing else even comes close. We're talking about reducing hot flashes by 75 to 80% or more in most women. The big study that scared everyone, the Women's Health Initiative in 2002, was widely misinterpreted. Yes, there are risks, but the absolute risks are much smaller than people were led to believe, and they depend on many factors: your age, how long it's been since menopause, whether you still have a uterus, your personal health history. For most healthy women starting hormone therapy around the time of menopause, late 40s, early 50s, the benefits typically outweigh the risks, especially if your quality of life is significantly affected by hot flashes. But this is a personal decision. It's not right for everyone. If you have a history of certain cancers, blood clots, stroke, or liver disease, hormone therapy might not be advisable for you. What I want you to know is this: you have the right to make an informed decision. If your hot flashes are severely affecting your quality of life and you're a reasonable candidate for hormone therapy, you shouldn't have to suffer just because someone told you it's dangerous without explaining the actual numbers. If you're interested, talk to your doctor. Ask about your personal risk factors. Ask about the difference between taking estrogen alone versus estrogen plus progesterone. Ask about patches versus pills versus creams. There are options. And if your doctor dismisses you or refuses to even discuss it without good medical reasons, it might be time to find a different doctor. Non-hormonal medications. Now, maybe hormone therapy isn't right for you, or maybe you've tried it and didn't tolerate it well, or maybe you're just not comfortable with the idea. That's completely valid. The good news is there are non-hormonal medications that can help with hot flashes. SSRIs and SNRIs. These are typically used for depression and anxiety, but at lower doses they can significantly reduce hot flashes, usually about 50 to 60% in most women. Medications like paroxetine, which actually has an FDA-approved version for hot flashes called Brisdel, venlafaxine, escitalopram, and others have been studied for this. They don't work as well as hormone therapy, but they work better than placebo and better than most supplements. And they have the added benefit of potentially helping with mood and sleep issues that often come along with menopause. Side effects can include nausea, dry mouth, decreased libido, and some people feel a bit emotionally blunted, but many women tolerate them well. Gabapentin. This medication, typically used for nerve pain and seizures, can also reduce hot flashes by about 50%. It's taken at bedtime because it can make you drowsy, which can actually be helpful if hot flashes are disrupting your sleep. Some women find it very effective. Side effects can include dizziness and drowsiness. Fesolantant. This is a newer medication approved in 2023, specifically designed to treat hot flashes. It works by blocking a specific receptor in the brain involved in temperature regulation. Early studies show it's quite effective, reducing hot flashes by about 60% or more in many women. Because it's new, we don't have long-term data yet, but it's an exciting option, particularly for women who can't or don't want to take hormones. Ocibutanine. This is a medication typically used for bladder issues, but at low doses it can help with hot flashes, particularly if sweating is a major component for you. It's not as commonly used as the other options, but some women find it helpful. The point is, you have options, real, effective options. You don't have to just white-knuckle your way through years of miserable hot flashes. Yes, every medication has potential side effects. Yes, you and your doctor need to weigh the benefits and risks, but if your hot flashes are significantly affecting your life, your sleep, your work, your relationships, your mental health, medication is a completely reasonable option to consider. Other medical approaches. There's also something called stellate ganglion block, an injection that can provide relief from hot flashes for some women. It's not widely available yet, but it's being studied more. And for some women, acupuncture seems to help, though the evidence is mixed. If you want to try it and can afford it, it's generally safe and might be worth exploring. The bottom line is this. Effective treatment exists. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own body. You deserve to sleep through the night. You deserve relief. So where does all this leave you? Here's what I'd suggest, and you can adapt this to your own situation. Start with the lifestyle changes that make sense for you. Keep your bedroom cool. Pay attention to obvious triggers. If you know that glass of red wine at dinner always leads to night sweats, maybe skip it for a while. Try the breathing exercises when you feel a hot flash starting. These things won't eliminate hot flashes for most people, but they might reduce their frequency or severity by 20 or 30%, and sometimes that's enough to make them manageable. If lifestyle changes aren't enough, you could try one of the supplements that has at least some evidence, black cohost or vitamin E. Give it 2 months. If it helps, great. If it doesn't, don't keep taking it hoping it will suddenly start working. And if you're still struggling, if hot flashes are happening multiple times a day, if you're waking up drenched in sweat every night, if you're avoiding activities you love because of them, talk to your doctor about medical treatment. Maybe that's hormone therapy, maybe it's one of the non-hormonal medications, but don't suffer in silence thinking you just have to endure this. I also want to say this. Be patient with yourself. Finding what works might take some trial and error. What works for your sister or your friend might not work for you, and that's okay. Your experience is your own. And remember that hot flashes don't last forever. For most women, they're most intense in the first few years after menopause and then gradually improve. Some women have them for a few months, some for a few years, some for longer, but they do typically get better over time. This is real. What you're experiencing is real, and taking care of yourself through it isn't selfish or dramatic, it's necessary. Talk to other women about it. You'll be surprised how many women are going through the same thing. There's something powerful about realizing you're not alone, that other women understand, that you can laugh about the absurdity of it together even while it's hard. And remember, you're not broken. Your body is going through a transition. It's uncomfortable, yes. Sometimes it's more than uncomfortable. It's disruptive and frustrating and exhausting. But it's also a natural part of life, and there are real ways to find relief. You deserve to feel comfortable. You deserve to sleep well. You deserve relief. And if anyone, including a doctor, tries to dismiss your symptoms or tell you to just deal with it, know that you have every right to advocate for yourself, to seek a second opinion, to find someone who will take you seriously. This is your body, this is your life, and you matter. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope something here helps you find a little more comfort, a little more relief, and I hope you know that whatever you're experiencing, you're not going through it alone. Take good care of yourself.